Hi, hey, thanks for joining me on this video today. We're going to be showing you how to upload our chart of accounts template directly into your QuickBooks instance. Very confident that this is going to elevate your game in terms of your financial reporting, being able to understand your financials, make better financial decisions, communicate the story of the financial story of your organization to, both your internal team, your external teams, your external stakeholders. So, um, really in being able to tell your story, it starts with organized financials. Nobody wants to read a book from back to front. You want to read it from front to back. And this is what puts those pages all in order for you. And so very confident this is going to help you. So without further ado, let's dive right in and let's make your QuickBooks that much better. So what I am doing is I am logged in here on a sample company of QuickBooks Online. This should be exactly what your QuickBooks instance is looking like when you log in. So if you are brand new to QuickBooks, again, log into your account. You should be sitting right here. I'm sitting on the dashboard. Okay, and so to import your chart of accounts template that you downloaded, you are going to click this gear icon in the top right hand. You're going to go to this third column here where it says Tools, and what you're going to do is you're going to select Import Data. Okay, and I just wanted to take a step back because it just brought a thought to my mind. Is even if you're not new to QuickBooks, if you do already have like a chart of accounts set up, this process is still going to work for you. Just keep in mind though that if you've already created a number of accounts or a number of chart of accounts, there's going to be an additional process, and I'll get to that later in the video of, how do you merge your accounts? How do you go from your old your old chart of account structure to your new structure? Okay, so please take a look at the template in that instance. Please look to see what are the accounts in our template, and what are the accounts that you already have. Do they closely align? If so, maybe you only need to import the accounts that you don't already have, because you already have the others. Or maybe you do just want to start fresh. Maybe you didn't really know what you were doing. You admit maybe, hey, I didn't know what I was doing. I have crazy accounts, and Tyler's yours are so much better. Sure, that's not the case, but maybe ours is a little bit better, and you just want to bring in our chart of accounts, and you want to change from your old account structure into the new structure. And in that case, just go ahead, import all of our accounts, and I'm going to get later into the video in terms of how do you kind of merge all of that old activity into the new account structure that I'm giving you. So without further ado, again, we're in the gear icon here, and in the import data section. Okay, you can see here that you're going to have the option to import a number of different types of data. Right now, we're going to start with the chart of accounts. Okay, what you want to do is go in here and select your chart of accounts template. And so this is from the CSV or Excel file. You can also do from Google Sheets. Okay, and here is where we align the the underlying fields that QuickBooks already has and that QuickBooks needs in order to import your data. They need the detail type, and you can see that your field or the R fields that we're giving you from our template align directly with those. You should be seeing all the 4 green check marks. You can see here that those are all good to go. So I'm going to click next on that. This is going to bring up the import screen. So step number 3, where this outlines all of the account numbers, the account names, and the account types. Type and detail type. Okay. So your account number and account name, there are no default behind the scenes fields for these items in QuickBooks. So if you are seeing any errors in this screen, actually, you know what, you shouldn't be. Okay, at least not yet. When we get into the import, we'll talk about that. So what you want to just see here is if there's any sort of red or any sort of errors, you can see here that there are not. And what we're going to do is, and I will just say, if you do have any errors around the account number or the account name, it's very possible the reason for that is just that those fields might already be in QuickBooks. Again, with our template, they shouldn't be, but maybe you already had a chart of accounts set up, and maybe you already had a 1,000 account. In that sense, you might just need to change this account number and just add a 2 or something like that, or add a 2 to this just to make it a little bit different from what you already had in QuickBooks. Okay, these, if you are seeing errors here on the types of accounts, just know that QuickBooks does have default fields for these. Okay, we've aligned the spreadsheet we gave you to these default fields already, and so we shouldn't, but QuickBooks does always change. Okay, QuickBooks is constantly changing, and so if you are seeing the red around these types of these fields, it's because they're just QuickBooks probably behind the scenes changed bank to bank account or accounts receivable to accounts receivables. And so just go ahead, click on that down arrow and choose the one that is most applicable to the type we already gave you. And you're just going to want to click import. Okay, so it looks like for us, 173 of 179 accounts successfully imported, which is awesome. And what I'm just going to see here is you're going to see the errors, the red lines, and really what that is that's because these accounts are already in QuickBooks. Okay, so maybe we shouldn't have given you these on the templates, but just for our purposes, we want to include everything on the template, and also being that those accounts are already in there, you'll want to go ahead and go to those accounts that are already in QuickBooks and give those accounts these account numbers, right? And these account types and detail types as well. Okay. Those are default, so I would recommend that route is just going in and entering these manually. You got maybe 6 of them here. Okay. And, in that sense, the 173 are good. Okay. Another thing I just wanted to point out there is on the chart of accounts, you do have to enable chart of account numbers, okay, if you do want to be seeing those. So the way to do that is to go in your gear icon section, go into account and settings, go into the advanced, and you can see here under chart of accounts, it says enable account numbers. This is turned off. We want to go ahead and turn that on. Okay. And actually, if you show that, so show account numbers. Okay, this is, I believe, is if you want them to show on your reports and transactions. Yes, so you do want that. I highly recommend that. It's a little bit probably more of an accountant's thing than anything, but I think you'll get used to it, and it brings a lot of benefits. Okay, so we've successfully imported the chart of accounts, which is awesome. We're 7 minutes and 45 seconds in this video. Now you have a complete account structure for your nonprofit, and that is awesome. Okay, and so what we're going to do now is we're going to go into the actual chart of accounts function, and we're going to make sure that this thing actually works for you. All right, and so this is going to be a little bit more work. It's going to take you some time, but in the long run, this is something that is created, and of course you want to always maintain and update your chart of accounts. You want to customize it to your organization, but this is one of those things that you spend a little bit of time up front to actually do it, and once it's done, and it's constantly serving you benefits throughout the life cycle of your organization with very minimal maintenance. Okay, so in order to do that, what we're going to do here is click on the gear icon, and on the left hand column now we're going to go to the chart of accounts. Okay, and so what this is the function where we can change all of this and give everything the proper structure that it needs. Okay, so what this is going to have is a listing of all of the accounts that you just uploaded, as well as all of the accounts that QuickBooks gives you by default. Okay, so if you've got a brand new QuickBooks Online, these are all the default accounts that QuickBooks has already set up for you. If you are not new to QuickBooks and you've had an accounting system set up already, you're going to see all of the accounts that you previously had. Okay, and so just kind of going back to those, again, if you already had your QuickBooks set up and you want to go to our version of the chart of accounts, I'm going to get into how we start merging that activity so that it all starts reporting into our structure. And if there's any adjustments that need to be made as I go through this here, I'm sure it's going to make sense for you. One thing I do want to point out as well is I'm just going to really quick see if this will show for us in the way that I would like it to. Okay, there is no activity, so okay. So I'll ignore that for just a second. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to get into actually setting up the chart of accounts. Okay, and this is going to be a pro tip for you and a great lesson in the chart of account structure in QuickBooks Online. Okay, so what we want to do is in QuickBooks Online, we want to structure our accounts in a format. Okay, and that format is we have what are called parent accounts and we have what are called sub accounts. Okay, and parent accounts are accounts that we set up so that we have good structure and organization in our financial statements. Okay, we don't actually post transaction to those accounts. They're simply just there to, in a way, kind of create a header for the accounts below, which are the sub accounts, and those sub accounts are the accounts that we actually post transactions to. Um, take it in an example of possibly like I'll go back to my book example. All right, is in a book, we have chapters, right? And at the start of every chapter, we've got a big headline to tell us what that chapter name is. Okay, and we want to read that chapter so that we know, like, as we go throughout the next pages, what it is what's the point of what we're reading, or what's the like, what are we reading next, and kind of a description of what we're reading next. The same thing in regard to your chart of accounts. Okay, and so let me point out this as it actually applies to the chart of accounts, right? So in our chart of accounts format, you're going to see account numbers that end in 00. Okay, any account number that's ending in 00 is what's called that parent account. Okay, it's the chapter name. It's what's giving us the detail that we need, high level detail or high level story that we need to say, all right, this is what we're reading below, or this is what we're reading next. Okay, so this is not a account that we would assign transactions to. We are going to see here that 1000 is the parent account, and we have 10, which that indicates that this is a sub account of the parent account. Okay, and this account is 1010. Okay, so this is going to be the 10 is kind of the first account underneath the parent account, right? And so what we need to do is we need to tell QuickBooks that this account really is a sub account. This is a sub account of the parent account. And the way to do that is simply just come over here into the arrows, and we would click edit. Okay, and we can edit that. We can see here it's set up as a bank account. We want to save this account under, and this is what we want to do, is we want to save it under the 1000 account. Again, this is a sub account of the 1000 account. Okay, the tax form section is checking. This is a bank account. It's a checking account. You do have different accounts here. If it was technically a savings account, you could here, if it was a money market account, you could choose that. I will just tell you though that assigning this detail type overall, changing these detail types overall, really not necessary in regard to bank accounts or in regard to most accounts. At least changing it from what we already gave you. Okay, so I would just, if I were you, keep them the same. You just want to make sure it's saved under the proper account. Okay, and so we'll click save here. And where you're going to know that's set up correctly is, you can essentially say, all right, this 1010 is now, you see how it's indented, that this 1010 is a sub account of this account. Okay. And so what I'm going to show you here next is how this affects the reports. Okay. So this setting up your chart of accounts is really, the reason behind that is in regard to the reports, to make our reports organized, and our report summarize all of the transactions below, right? And so I'm just going to go to the balance sheet, which is where all of our accounts are held. And you can see right now that on these reports, we have these transactions, or we have these accounts and these numbers, and we're not seeing the checking account that we just uploaded and that we just assigned a sub account to. And we're not seeing our sub account either, and that's because there are no transactions applied to it. Okay, so to those accounts. Okay, so let's go and change that. Okay, we're just going to go in here and we're going to change this, and we're going to say that this is actually paid from the 1010 account. So you will see that in transactions, you're going to start to be able to assign transactions to these accounts. Okay, I'm going to go back to the balance sheet. And now you can see here that here's our account, right? Here's our parent account and here's our sub account because we have the transaction assigned to the sub account. Okay, and so you can start to see how this provides a little bit better of a structure in the sense that, all right, we know that under this parent account, these are all of our cash and cash equivalent accounts. Number 1010 is the cash and bank operating. Okay, and because these accounts right here are not yet assigned as a sub account of 1010 or of 1000, I'm sorry, it kind of creates this subtotal, if you will, of these accounts. And we don't want that. We want all of our cash and cash equivalents to be under that one structure. We want one total for all of those, right? So let's go back into our chart of accounts. And this is going to be that lesson if you already have accounts set up in your QuickBooks and you need to change them. This is going to be where you do that, okay? And so, for instance, if this is the checking account and this is the account that you already have connected to QuickBooks, what you do is just, simply kind of come in here. And I'll say this. If you don't want to replace the current account name that you have, then, we'll kind of look at it a number of different ways here. But basically, if this is, say you created this new account and this is going to be a new bank account and this checking account is the one you already have, you just want to give it, you just want to have, this basically be assigned as the 1020 account. You're going to have two bank accounts and this is going to be the second bank account. Look at it that way. So what we want to do is, again, just come in here. It's already set up as a bank account. We want to save it under 1000. And we would give it that 1020 number. Okay, and so you can see down here that QuickBooks, this is a fairly new feature as of the date of this video, that it shows us how is this going to look, and that's how it would look. Okay, but say we already had this as our checking account, and really we want this name and this number, but here's the account we already had. And so what I would recommend we do here is just kind of copy the chart of account name. Now you can go in here under edit. We want to save this account. Save this account under the 1000 account, but we want to give it that name. And you can kind of see here it's creating an error, and we'll get to that in just a minute. And I would just say, let's try changing the account number. Okay, so perfect. Merge accounts. Okay, so this is what we want to do when we have a lot of accounts already set up, but we want the new structure, right? So what we can do is say that we want to merge this checking account we already have with the new account name that we have. And so it says, you already have an account with that name. Would you like to merge the two? And what you want to do is say, yep, we want to merge those accounts. Okay, probably click save. It's probably going to give you an error here. But when you come out of here and maybe refresh, all right, it did not do it. Let's try that one more time. We might do here. I'm really thinking that this is probably just because it is the sample company, but I do want to make sure of that. Actually, what we could do, it might just be because the bank account is connected and it doesn't want to merge it. So what we might do is change this one to checking. We'll just say, okay, and let's just see if this Let's see if this works. Okay, so yep, that's how you merge. Is you probably for the bank accounts, you're probably going to have to merge them that way. And then what all you got to do then is just kind of come in here and change this to your cash in bank rating. And of course, you'll want to save it under the parent account. Okay, so now you've got the bank account you've already connected, and it is saved under the parent account. Okay, so you'll just want to follow that same process for your savings account. And what you're going to want to do is start to go down the down kind of the balance sheet accounts or down all the accounts and make sure that everything's assigned as sub accounts. Okay, one of the things we did here was we did not import over a parent account for accounts receivable. So what we want to do here is actually we're going to change this to 1100. Okay, as this is the account we brought in for accounts receivable. Accounts receivable is a little tricky in the sense that QuickBooks Online comes with a default accounts receivable account that all transactions are assigned to, and you can't really change that. It's kind of something that's stuck. QuickBooks Desktop is a little bit different. QuickBooks Online, though, it's kind of stuck. So what you want to do is we want this accounts receivable account that they already give us to be the sub account, right? And so what we'll say is that the new account that we brought in should be account 1100. Okay, and that accounts receivable that's already in there should be 1110. First account under that accounts receivable. What we do is find that parent accounts receivable and change it. Okay, so now that default account that they've set up, it does have our account number that we want and is under the parent account. And then in doubtful accounts receivable, again, we just want to come in and put that one under accounts receivable as well. Boom. Okay. And what you're basically going to do is work your way down the balance sheet doing that. So, work your way down the accounts doing that. So again, we've got a 1200 account. That is our parent account. And so we're going to go to the 1210. We're going to put it under the 1200. Let's check out our quick preview here. That looks right. Okay, our 1215, that looks right. Except for that needs to be under 1200, and that's good. Okay, and so you can see how all of these are aligning. Okay, real quick, do this one so that we can our reports. Looks good. All right, so you're starting to see that come alive, right? Come alive. All right, and so now you can see, hey, we've got all of our cash and cash equivalents underneath our parent account, looking pretty. All right, we've got cash and bank operating, and we've got savings, and they all have account numbers, they all have account names, and we have one total for all of those for all total bank accounts. All right, so that's perfect. Accounts receivable, same thing. We've got all of our accounts receivable assigned to a sub account that is underneath the parent account. That's what we're telling. So some of these, QuickBooks does have these default accounts receivables. These titles. Simply just got to ignore them. You want your financial reporting to be good, and sometimes you just got to kind of basically these are two title accounts, and that's all right. To have those, that's all right. We want our accounting structure to be proper, and we just have to deal with that because that's how QuickBooks Online does it. Okay, and so when I was saying go down the balance sheet, that's what we're doing. Is we're basically taking all of our asset accounts, all of our liability and equity accounts, and putting those into the proper parent sub relationship, right? Okay. Another thing I'm going to show you on this video is just in regard to accounts that QuickBooks already has set up, right? So QuickBooks does come with some default accounts. such as inventory. Inventory is a big one that, they're not going to let, what I'm going to say here is QuickBooks is not going to let you delete those accounts. Okay. So you've got to work those accounts into the structure that we already gave you, right? So we gave you some inventory accounts, right? So 1,400 other assets, and then we have inventories for sale, inventories for use. Okay. So what, with this inventory asset, this is an account that already has some products and services assigned to it. Don't want to get to that in this video just yet, but essentially QuickBooks is not going to let you change this account. So what you just have to do is work it in to be part of your structure. So we left the 1410 blank, and that's the exact reason why is you don't have a 1410 because you need to come down here into the inventory asset. You need to make that account 1410 because again, they're not going to let you delete it. One of the ways you can delete accounts is to make them inactive. Say, yes, I want to make it inactive, but we're going to get an error because it says failed to inactivate some accounts. You're unable to inactivate it. Okay. So that's one way to do it here is to go into that 1410. We're going to save it under account 1400 other assets. Okay. Looks like the tax form section. Is that right? Okay. Because this is an inventory. So let me do that. All right. Okay. So you just need to change that that detail type to be a other current asset and to be inventory. And that helped us bring it in. And so again, this is just going to be saving this under 1400. And you can just again see how that's come together. I will show you this, the prepaid expense account. When we uploaded, that was one thing that would not come over properly, right? Remember we had the error that prepaid expenses would not upload. That is because we had that prepaid expense account already. Okay, and so we do give you the you saw here like the prepaid general liability, prepaid workers, but there is no parent account for that, right? And so what we have to do there in that instance is make it that parent account, right? It's kind of a parent account of some further sub accounts, and I'll show you that here in just a second. That prepaid expenses are going to be part of other current assets, but we want it to be part of 1,400 other assets. Okay. And so this is just a way of making the accounts that QuickBooks has already given us into the structure that we want. Okay, so now we can see we've got the 1450. And you can see here that there are some additional, almost it's going to be a sub account of a sub account, right? Is that we do have some prepaid expenses, and we want to have some further detail into what those prepaid expenses are. So the 1451 goes under the 1450, and where that's going to go is we just want to find that 1450 account and put that under there. Right, so it is a sub account of the sub account. You could maybe move these accounts down, if you will, and make your prepaids a 1500 series. So this can be manipulated however way you want. Just kind of know, I think that we do have, we do have some space. Like ends at 1700s and then goes to 2000. So yeah, you definitely could. You can make these 1700s, 1900s. You could make the 1600s, the 1800s, and all that good stuff. That makes sense. Okay. Just kind of looking here, everything should work appropriately. Again, you just kind of have to look and see what accounts did you already have, what accounts do you need to kind of mix in with the accounts that we gave you, or vice versa, and merge. Okay, accounts payable is going to be another one. It's just like accounts receivable, that there is one default account you can't, that you can't necessarily delete this and use the account that we gave you. Good thing here though is, we kind of show you that in the sense that, hey, we gave you this 2000 parent account, but you don't see the 2010 accounts payable anywhere, right? That's because you need to change this. All right. So now you've got all of that. All right. And again, by the end of this, by the end of doing all of that, by the end of this video, we don't want to make this video doing it all for you. You can figure it out, I promise you. But by the end of the day, this should be what your chart of accounts is starting to look like. Is that every account that has a transaction and that has a number coming on the reports should be a sub account. It should have an account number. It should be under a parent account. Okay. And what you can do is just go from your reports, the balance sheet and your profit and loss, or your statement of financial position and your statement of activity. And you can go to the reports, look on those two reports, look for the accounts that maybe have transactions assigned to parent accounts. Maybe you accidentally assigned a transaction or an account that has transactions in it as a parent account rather than as a sub account. Then you're going to want to change that. But yeah, that should be the structure. That should be how you do it. If you do have any questions, definitely be sure to reach out to us. But that is essentially it. Yeah, so please do let us know if we can help. Promise get through this. It'll take you just maybe a couple to a few hours to do. But again, once you do it, everything's going to be looking so pretty for you, and not only for you, but for others as well. Really going to make sense for you. And as you follow along with us and get more technically savvy in the area of accounting, you're really going to see, in terms of not only financial reporting, but when you get into budgeting and forecasting, cash flow analysis, all these things, the chart of account structure is really a great help in getting into some of that higher level analysis and making sure that analysis is organized, and that all of your drivers and things, I won't get into that, but all of your drivers and things are properly aligned. So thank you very much for this video, for watching this video, and look forward to talking to you soon. Thank you. Bye.